is Rui Pereira. I'm interaction designer, and I build also my own interfaces for music and especially also for live visuals. So this is the Looper, and it's Looper with 3 O's, and it's basically the second version of a real-time video controller. My objective was to take technology that was being, in my opinion, misused and not really taken advantage of, and cheap, and just use it in an innovative way to make, to build a controller for people to do live visuals that wouldn't be, a bunch of knobs or just a bunch of like keyboard and mouse. And at the time I was really angry with, just most of the audio and video interfaces that you could get, which is like MIDI controllers that would just be a bunch of knobs in rows, and you would remember the third knob is the effect, the fourth knob is the speed, and then you have to memorize all those knobs and tag them with stickers or papers, like which one is what. And if you're live, if you're doing a live performance, you don't really want to have time to think or see what the knob is or read what the knob is. You really want to know immediately. Even though I'm using a lot of like knobs and faders, I'm using them and arranging them in ways that really are connected to what you're doing. The casing, I built it all in fiberglass. I also made the casing with a cover that, attaching these strips, I could, transport it, and that was a big issue. In the first, I had like a case I had to carry. It was not really comfortable to carry most of the time, so I built this case with these, straps, and now I can just like, go to school and have fun and, take it with me. And when I open it, it will look a bit like nice noisy straps. We can get rid of these for now. Okay, here we start, and we have a bunch of connectors. It is a big Etch-A-Sketch. I'm gonna plug it in, which takes about 2 to 3 minutes. Basically, what this is a second version of a controller I did previously called also Looper, even though this Looper has 3 O's and the other one has 2 O's. The first one only had 2 video decks, and this one had 3 video decks, and I was like, calling Looper 2 I don't really want, so I called like Looper. So each O means it has a video deck. So what this is meant to be is an interface which has strong connections between the hardware and the software. So I'm running a patch that I built using Isadora, and basically the graphic user interface, which is what we see in the screen, is tightly connected to the physical interface, which is like these physical controls we have here. And when I started doing this controller, or the previous version, I didn't know much about electronics, so I just used things I could find in the trash and in second-hand markets, eBay and all that. So I bought an industrial touch screen, and I had this old Rui MIDI controller that I just basically took apart. It's, those bunch of knobs I was talking about a while ago, and there was like 60 knobs arranged in two rows of eight knobs each, and I just took the knobs out and replaced knobs by faders, and started displaying those knobs and those faders in space. And so what we have here is we have 3 decks. So we have here the library, where I can just press the thumbnail. I don't really need to know what name is the video clip, because I'm seeing the thumbnail and it's changing through the videos I want. I have different libraries. I can just choose the libraries. So this is one deck with a library, the preview monitor, and the way I want to loop it. If I just want one way, which means that it when it gets to the end, basically stops, and I can basically trigger it by pressing the thumbnail, and it triggers it. And I can have in points and out points in the physical controllers, so I can basically say where I want to start the clip, where I want to end the clip, and that is can be seen in a very direct relationship with the timeline monitor we have here. So if I move this, I basically see it I only have not the physical feedback from moving, you know, the faders. I always also see at the same time, you know, in the monitor timeline, what's happening. So I'm gonna choose, you know, loop mode, which is a regular loop, you know, from end to beginning. You know, I can move it into selection. I can, you know, speed up really, really fast. I can slow down, and I can do reverse. So in one controller, which is this large knob I have here, I have from 0, which is stop, to faster, back to 0, stop, and then backwards and backwards faster. And so in one controller you have like already a lot of stuff, and very direct, and you know, all of us know these kind of patterns. And we have here another deck with a library, preview, loop mode, the timeline monitor, you know, the speed and control, in and out points, and here the same thing, another deck. You can choose videos, you know, just by pressing them, and let's leave the little birdies here, and the same thing. You know, there's a super direct connection always. The out point in the timeline is, you know, spatially connected to the out point in the fader, and the in point the same thing in the timeline. So you can always know where you are and what you're doing. And now each of these 3 decks can be mixed using this fader. Unfortunately, we don't have output monitor to see what we're really doing, but you could see it, you know, in the final projection. We would blend these 2 decks. They're basically arranged in a chain mixed way. So you mix 1 with 2, the result of 1 and 2 you can mix with 3. So you have different ways of mixing it. You have the dissolve, minimum, maximum, difference, or chroma key and luma key, and you can control the chroma and the luma in this touch surface here. And then each of these decks, the extreme decks in space, have effect units. So basically I can, let's say, I can basically turn on an effect, and sorry, here's a little. So I can choose an effect. I have 2 banks, bank 1 and bank 2, and in this bank, for instance, I already have like this effect. I have 5 effects per bank, which means 10 effects in the end. So I can control the effect with this knob. So, alright, basically, you know, you're seeing here being distorted and more distorted. Okay, so I have 4 parameters per effect, and so I can control them, you know, with my hands, you know, to the rhythm of the music or the way I want it. I can also control them in 3 other, or another different way. I can use another unit that I have here, which is called the automator, or, you know, oscillation unit, which is basically our 3 oscillators that I have here. I can control the speed of, like, this is one oscillator, this is another one, and this is another one. These 2 oscillators have the regular wave shapes. You know, I have sine, saw, you know, saw, basically triangle, saw, square wave, or random value, that I can control the speed of this frequency through, you know, a knob, and directly choose, you know, the frequency I want. So let's choose a sine wave, and, you know, I can, you know, control with a knob, or I can actually say, you know, I want to tap it, and then he will move that frequency at the rhythm that I tapped into. We have here another one. I can, you know, choose. I'm basically controlling it with this knob that, you know, allows me to control the speed of the frequency. So, and I have this third one, which basically is another wave oscillator that I can turn on, but I can actually draw the wave. So if I want to draw this shape, I can just draw it, I can control it, the speed, and then I can basically assign these three wave shapes. I can freely assign them to any of the parameters of the effect. So let's say, here oscillator 1, it's animating this parameter. Here I want oscillator 2. Oh wait, I actually going to leave it manual, but I want to put draw here, and I want to put oscillator 2 here. So basically I have an effect automated, and I can just use it. I can sync it with the tempo of the music, and then I can take care of other aspects of the controller. Looper also has another thing, which is a routing possibility. So what I can say in this deck, I can say I want a video from this library, or I want to send a video from this deck or this deck, and as this deck has effects, I can send it wet or dry, which means with effects or without effects. So I can say okay, send me, let's turn off this effect. So send me the video from the first deck, and I'm here, I have it. Or send me the video from that deck but with the effects. So basically I have the same video here and I can blend them. Or I can actually grab this with effect and apply another effect on the top. And then suddenly I have a more refined version of that clip in here that I can blend and mix again. And in the end, all these three images blended, I can, before I'm outputting them, I can do color correction with these three knobs. So basically I have an HSL, which means it stands for hue, saturation, and light, or lightness. So I can color correct it before I'm outputting it, shifting the hue, saturation, or the lightness. So when I'm outputting to the projection, I can correct it. This is the VJ version, and Looper also has another software version that runs in the same hardware with the same principles, which is the audio-visual version, which basically takes all these same principles and uses them with the audio and the video. So I can apply effects to audio and video at the same time. And I created a matching between what the video and the audio effect are and how they can match or not. I can use a blur with audio blur in some way, or I can have a ghosting effect with a decay effect on the sound. And it also has a 4-step sequencer, so I can sequence like 4 clips and play around with them. And I basically use it for the dual performance that you can see online or maybe playing around soon here in Chicago. And yeah, and this is Looper.